Hi, Sam Roberts here for ProRaster Scientific. Let's have a look at some of the new features in version 2.2.06. So the major change is that is to compositing. So when we're compositing our multispectral satellite data, there are some new options to do that. Now, in the past, I referred to compositing as collating. I now use the industry standard term of compositing, and so it's changed in all the documentation and everywhere else. So let's perhaps just choose a scene. So I'll choose a tile, I don't know which one, this one, hit OK, get some, well, let's select these ones. Then perhaps take the ones that have less cloud. Oh, it's all very cloudy. And now I'm going to create a composited scene product. Hit OK. And we now have this dialog. So compositing is the process of taking multiple values acquired at different times for each pixel and then choosing or computing a value for the pixel based on some set of rules. And in the past, previous versions, our rules were basically around cloud and around time. So, and these are set here, so we could order our scenes by cloud and then mask out cloud. And so our masked out pixels would then be filled by pixels that didn't have cloud in them. Or we could order them by time, usually by proximity to a specified acquisition date. And that gives us the pixels that are closest to the acquisition date that we want to represent. And I think that's the best way to go around doing this. But there are other ways to do it. And for example, if you're using Google Earth Engine, then you'll be familiar with the concept of reducing, and that's what they call this process. Instead of compositing, it's reducing. And usually what you'll do is you'll take a whole bunch of scenes and you'll take the median value. So that's another strategy, and we now have that kind of thing implemented. So firstly, we can establish the order of the scenes that we're compositing. Secondly, we can mask and we don't have to mask, so we can mask out our cloud by choosing some masking band, or we can opt not to do that. And then we set the retention rule. So we would either retain pixels by order, and that's the default. Or we have these four other options: minimum, maximum, mean, and median. So they are our statistical retention rules. And then we have a final one by computed value. So let's hit OK, and let's make create a rendering algorithm. Let's say this one, hit OK. I'm going to open that in ProRaster, bring it over here so we can see it. So here's our scene. Not a very good example, but still. Let's go into the properties of that scene again. So this time I'm going to, instead of ordering by default by time, I'm going to use the median value. So it's going to look at all the pixels, all the pixel values in that stack, and it's going to choose the median and assign that as your value. Hit OK, and then you can see that there's a change in the imagery. So the median value is a good strategy. If the majority of your pixels are cloud-free, then the median value is going to sit within the cloud-free data. So that's not a bad strategy. On the other hand, if the majority have cloud in them, then the median value will sit amongst the cloud, and that would be a bad result. By applying a mask to remove the cloudy pixels, you can improve your statistics and get a better result out of your median value. On the other hand, the mean value just averages all of the pixels, and that's probably not a very good strategy in any scenario. And then in addition to those statistical methods, we have this by computed value. So when I select that, these other options become available. So now I'm going to specify some kind of computation for each pixel. And then, and that computation is going to be a spectral index. So it might be NDVI, for example, vegetation index. It might be NDWI, a water index. So I can say I want to choose pixels where that computed index is either a minimum or a maximum, or it's closest to some target value, in which case I can select that target value. I'm going to choose maximum. So let's choose pixels that have the most amount of water in them. So I go into my spectral index. I'm going to choose the NDWI, Normalized Difference Water Index, hit OK. I'm going to take the maximum. So when I hit OK, you'll see that the imagery changes and we have more blue in it. Oops, sorry, it just disappeared for a minute there. So we have more blue. We've chosen pixels that have water in them, and now we've retained more water. If we change that to the minimum, so now we're saying I want the pixels with the least amount of water, hit OK. You see that we get quite a different result, and we've got much more vegetation showing through. So that's your options for compositing scenes. If you go to the Create Product Sequence wizard, you'll find that those options are also in here. So if we go a composited mosaic sequence, you've got your masking options, you've got your ordering options, you've got your attention rule, and you can choose your spectral index for your computed value rule. So it's within there, and it's of course within the standard editor. So just one other thing I'll show you. If we go into the scene browser, you'll see that in the spreadsheet we now use different colours, and they're based on the quality of the pixels. So if we have very cloudy scenes, they'll have a slightly red colour. Now, some scenes are very badly processed. I don't know why this is, but for example, in this collection I have two scenes where even though it reports there's not much cloud, it's completely inappropriately assigned cloud masking to pixels. And this is not something that ProRaster Scientific has done, it's the processing that the USGS has done on that Landsat scene. For reasons that I don't understand, sometimes it just doesn't work very well and it incorrectly assigns cloud to pixels, or in this case doesn't. So some scenes don't mask well, and really you can't include that data in your products. If you do include it, you're including very bad data in your products. So you now have an option to right click on a scene and set this quality tag to unusable, in which case it will be displayed in red. And you can also reset the quality tag. So when you're saying it's unusable, you're tagging it as unusable, and then when you use the Create Product Sequence wizard, or if you just create any kind of product and you select that scene as one of the inputs to that product, it won't actually be used. So the processing will then reject that scene and it won't include it in the product. So that's just makes it easier to take scenes out of your database without deleting them. You're still retaining the data, but then when you go to create products, they won't get used. So that's version 2.2.06 ProRaster Scientific, which you can purchase from the Microsoft Store. Thanks.